global maternal deaths are caused by fistula. An African Union delegation concluded a fact-finding mission to assess the security situation ahead of the planned reduction of African Union transition mission troops. Kenyan government has proposed a set of new tax hikes that will cause effect on the populace of Kenya, thereby increasing price. Good afternoon, out here viewers. Welcome to the 1 p.m. news edition with Hazele, OGOIGBE, coming to you live and direct from Golfe AFRICA here in the city of Cotonou. Now to the news in detail, starting from the local scene. The rainy season is in full swing in Cotonou and the surrounding areas. Now, the latest rains to hit the economic capital have claimed many victims. Houses on the edge of the road are submerged in water, and the people who live there, particularly children and women, are exposed to waterborne diseases and infections of all kinds. This is the case for the resident of Logozumba in Kokotome. More information in the following report.
It was impossible for Mrs. Josephine Sawyer to speak for 30 seconds without scratching her body during the interview with our reporting team. And that's what most of the residents of this district are experiencing. Exposed to midges during the day, mosquitoes and other insects take over at night. The latest rains in and around Cotonou have left stagnant water in alleyways and houses, preventing residents from carrying out their income-generating activities and others from going about their daily business in peace.
Il y a l'eau un peu partout et c'est difficile de sortir et puis c'est un peu sale parce qu'il y a les herbes qui poussent.
There is water everywhere and it is difficult to go out. And the dirtier it is, the more weeds grow on it. There's dirt when you walk in. It even gives you a bad feeling because it is not clean at all. It is polluted. It is very difficult to go in and out of the house. There's already talk of allergies because if you are sensitive of insects and mosquitoes, you can live a healthy life.
C'est ce que nous vivons un peu ici à Kokotome grâce à la pluie.
We do not stay at Kokotome very often thanks to the rain. Those who are at Logozumpa turn on the water and it flows to us. So that's how you see the water leaves there and flows towards us. We haven't found a solution to make the water flow freely. It is just stagnant. Thank God it flows a bit freely. If not, normally it fills up the balcony. As a result, local residents are under threat from a range of diseases, including malaria, cholera, dysentery, and influenza, to name but a few. And the most vulnerable are children, who often innocently play in dirty water, unaware of the health problems caused by infections of all kinds. Residents are calling on the authorities at the highest level to help them find a definitive solution to this cyclical problem and to provide medicines for the treatment of children. The rainy season that began at the end of May has been in full swing since June. Although this period is a blessing in disguise as it brings an abundance of harvest, it is also unfortunately accompanied by an upsurge in certain diseases. It is therefore imperative that local elected representatives and people of goodwill come to the aid of those threatened by these diseases, particularly children and pregnant women.
Pressures from Russia's invasion of Ukraine has grown, looking at new ways to generate revenues. Now, farmers in Ghana are embracing new methods to reduce poor harvest food loss. More information in the following report. Trachoma is no longer a threat to Benin. The elimination of the disease as a public school problem in Benin was celebrated by the Ministry of Health on the 13th of June 2023 in Cotonou. Golfe TV Africa was there to give you the update.
Future generations now have the chance to be spared from trachoma. Benin has eliminated the disease. This achievement was celebrated by the Ministry of Health on Tuesday, 13 June 2023 in Cotonou. It is the result of several years of work and continuous efforts by the government of Benin and a network of supporters through actions funded by high-profile international donors. Fatumanta Diouf is the Regional Director of a partner civil society organization. Dr. Tanya Bissouma Leju, interim WHO resident representative in Benin, believes that this result will have contributed to the significant progress made in the fight against trachoma in recent years. This success should not be seen as the end of the fight, but rather as a starting point for redoubling our surveillance efforts, she concluded.
Au niveau du Bénin, grâce aux efforts conjoints des autorités sanitaires, des partenaires techniques et financiers engagés dans cette lutte.
Thanks to the strong support of the Beninese health authorities, the technical and financial partners, and the Beninese people involved in this fight, we are celebrating today the major success in eliminating trachoma in Benin. Benin's result contributes to the significant progress in the fight against trachoma in recent years. According to Benjamin Ungmatin, Minister of Health, this important decision makes Benin the 5th country in the WHO African region to take this important step in the fight against neglected tropical diseases, following in the footsteps of Ghana, Gambia, Togo, and Malawi. Benin joins 15 other countries worldwide that have been recognized by WHO for having eliminated trachoma as a public health problem. The elimination of trachoma as a public health problem in Benin has been validated by the World Health Organization on 13th April 2023.
Away from that, 6% of global maternal deaths are caused by obstructed labor. Now, this is when a baby cannot move through the birth canal. It can also lead to obstetric fistula, a condition, that can have a long-term impact on women's health, especially in developing countries in Africa.
Christina James, a resident of Kahama in the Shinyanga region of northwestern Tanzania, traveled for more than 900 kilometers to CCBRT Hospital in Dar es Salaam in search of fistula treatment. Obstetric fistula, caused by prolonged and obstructed childbirth labor, has a devastating impact on women. The injury, which causes a person to lose control over bladder and bowel movements, can lead to further complications if not treated. James says she struggled with fistula for more than 2 years before she received surgical treatment.
I delivered the baby naturally and I was supposed to get stitches at the hospital, but after getting the stitches, they ripped off. I was sent to the hospital, but I already had a fungus infection.
Despite seeking help, James says her medical woes did not end until this year when she arrived at CCBRT Hospital.
I'm asking for anyone who has a child to look at them carefully and send them to the hospital when she feels pain. We shouldn't leave to people who don't know. They cause us a lot of problems.
The memories of her healing journey, she says, are painful. She was socially isolated and laughed at, and found herself unable to work because of the shame associated with her injury. She wants to change this situation for others. Doctors in the country also want to encourage women to understand the condition and seek help. Daniel Michael, a surgeon at a hospital where James is getting treatment, says the community also needs to support women.
We are asking if we can help these women in a timely manner because the biggest problem of fistula occurs during labor pain. These patients are ignored, so we are asking at the hospital level, patients shouldn't be in a long extended period of time of labor pain. And if the hospital can't help them on time, they should refer them as quickly as possible.
Every year, according to World Health Organization, between 50 and 100,000 women are affected by obstetric fistula, which can be treated usually through surgery.
An African Union delegation concluded a fact-finding mission in Somalia to assess the security situation there ahead of the planned reduction of African Union transition mission troops. Some of the AMIS troops will leave the Horn of Africa nation at the end of June 2023, while another group will do so in September 2023.
The visiting African Union delegation, which included defense authorities from 17 African countries, held a series of meetings with the leadership of the federal government of Somalia, ATMIS, as well as United Nations in Mogadishu. The head of the delegation, Brigadier General Anas Shamu, said the visit was part of African Union Peace and Security Council's focus on security matters essential for the maintenance and promotion of peace and security on the continent.
The technical field mission seeks to obtain first-hand information regarding the military and security realities on the ground in Somalia, with a view to advising the PSC to take evidence-based decisions within the context of the drawdown of the AU transmission mission in Somalia, ATMIS troops.
2,000 troops will pull out of the country at the end of this month as part of ongoing drawdown. ATMIS officials say they remain committed to handing over security responsibilities to the Somali armed forces in line with existing agreements.
We established committee between FGS and ATMIS. This committee has been extended to ONSOS, which is a good partner for both FGS and ATMIS, to make sure that the drawdown will follow the CONOPS, will follow the provision of the Security Council resolution. On 15, we are going to implement that by handing over the first FOB to the FGS. And then this will continue the process, making sure that at the end of June, we'll draw down 2,000 of our troops.
Somali security agencies have made significant gains against armed group Al-Shabaab in recent months. Somali Defense Minister is confident that even when ATMIS pulls out, Somali troops can secure the country.
Handover is a testament that our Somali security forces have demonstrated their strength to take over the security in their country. The Ministry of Defense, with its armed forces, have taken a lead on this huge undertaking. We are keen to work with UNSOS and the AU to ensure that this process is implemented smoothly.
But there have been some terror attacks that showed the need for increased vigilance in the country. Last month, Al-Shabaab carried out an attack on a base manned by peacekeepers from Uganda, killing more than 50 soldiers. More than 10 people were also killed in an attack on a beach hotel in Mogadishu last week.
Kenya's government has proposed a set of new tax hikes it hopes will help pay off its massive foreign debt and accelerate economic growth. But with Kenyans hard hit by high prices, the government's proposed finance bill is proving unpopular among citizens and analysts.
Part of Kenya's tea-producing highlands, this is Githunguri in central Kenya. Majority of voters here voted for Kenya's current president, William Ruto, mobilized by his call to champion the cause for the poor and fight for hustlers in what he calls a bottom-up approach to economic development. But just about 9 months in, few here are willing to speak up in defense of the president.
For example, the tax. Those extra deductions will not just hit the employed people, they'll also translate to us being squeezed. It will affect me because we feel as if we're being forced to pay tax.
In budgetary proposals to be presented to Parliament on Thursday, the government plans to increase taxes on fuel, housing and healthcare, among other things. The government cut fuel subsidies shortly after taking over And like other countries in the world, prices of basic food items continue to rise, and residents feel the new taxes will squeeze them much further.
Everyone is complaining about the high cost of living. Even the prices of basic commodities like sugar have really spiked. Many people sleep hungry in their homes because life has become unbearable. Soap and cooking oil prices have doubled too.
The promises we were giving as small traders and motorbike riders have not come about.
The president and his allies have defended the tax proposals, saying East Africa's economic powerhouse needs more revenue to avert a debt crisis and fund affordable housing projects.
The higher you tax, it can actually end up creating a lower demand. By lower demand, then it means that we then end up degrowing as an economy. So there is always that sweet spot beyond which, if you tax the economy and the businesses and the consumers, then the demand is going to go down. So we believe we probably could be reaching that kind of tipping point whereby any extra collection of taxes will not in any way increase economic output.
The bill is generally expected to pass in Parliament, where the government has a majority. But it has provided fodder for an opposition that wants to seize what it sees as the bill's unpopularity. The main opposition coalition, led by Raila Odinga, has said it plans to organize more protests if the bill is passed.
Armed clashes have resumed in Khartoum following a truce designed to ease the delivery of aid. Witnesses say the fighting between the army and the paramilitary rapid support force is some of the heaviest that has been seen in weeks.
Dark smoke billows over the Sudanese capital. Gunfire and explosions ring out at regular intervals. This is what everyday life looks and sounds like for the people of Khartoum. Many are afraid to leave their homes, although as these pictures show, they're not safe there either. Sudan's deadly power struggle doesn't stop at the walls of residential houses, not even at the doors of orphanages. In May, it became known that more than 70 children perished in the capital's Al-Maikoma orphanage as fighting raged around them. They were infants, toddlers and older children. Most are said to have died from fever or a lack of food. Thanks to a rare pause in fighting, the remaining orphans have since been rescued. On June 2nd, the ICRC moved some 300 children to a safer location southeast of Khartoum.
Children have been there for the past 6 weeks, so it was really for us really a relief to see that we could bring them to safety now.
Despite the successful mission, the events at the Al-Maikoma orphanage are a brutal illustration of the humanitarian situation in today's Sudan. Aid agencies say there are millions of people who are in desperate need of food and medical aid, some of them trapped in dangerous locations that are difficult to reach.
We are responding and we are providing support, but it's extremely challenging to meet all the needs and to reach everyone wherever they are.
The war in Sudan started in mid-April, pitting the army, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, against the so-called Rapid Support Forces, a powerful paramilitary group led by his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. The two groups had a falling out over merging the paramilitary force into the army, and long smouldering resentment erupted into open combat when the RSF moved into Khartoum. Soon after, the violence spread, leaving up to half of Sudan's population in need of aid.
The humanitarian situation is catastrophic in Sudan. We know that before the war, there were already 15 million people who were facing food insecurity. We also know that this number have increased by millions after the war.
According to the UN, more than 400,000 people have fled to other countries, such as Chad, Egypt, and the Central African Republic. But not everyone can make it out. The new conflict is thought to have caused an additional 1.4 million people to be internally displaced.
Our homes were burned and we lost all our belongings. We need help.
We just want medicine to be provided. That's the most important thing, since there are children and elderly people staying here.
International mediators have attempted to resolve the increasingly dire situation, so far without success. Until the two warring parties lay down their weapons for good, the focus of Sudan's people, young and old, will be on survival.
And our dear viewers, this is where we conclude today's edition of the 1 p.m. news, coming to you live and direct from Golfe Africa, here in the city of Cotonou with Hazele OGOIGBE. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day.